What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin, and with me today, as always, are Alan.
Good evening.
And Bobby.
Oh, hello, everybody. It's me, Bobby.
We have got a great show for you today. We're kicking off our next 100 episodes with a franchise that we've already covered in the past. It's Insidious. We've done all 4 of the previous ones, and so today we're coming at you with our thoughts on the brand new Insidious, The Red Door. But before we get into it, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first, one, and only spoiler warning for Insidious, The Red Door. If you do not want this brand new movie spoiled for you, please skip to the time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. Insidious, The Red Door is like your favorite name brand plain potato chip. Shockingly empty of substance and shockingly full of fun. Alan.
This is a good start. This is a good start to episode 101. I like this.
To writing spoiler warnings, baby.
It's funny you say that because I actually wrote out a synopsis this time instead of going off the cuff, you see. 9 years after the events of Insidious Chapter 2, we are greeted with the funeral of Lorraine, Josh's mother. She has tragically passed away. Josh alone, by his appearance, clearly indicates that there is trouble at home. This man is about as disheveled as it comes, and we find out that this is due to Josh and Renee having some sort of a divorce. It's not exactly clear how long it's been, probably somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 years post-divorce at this point. And unfortunately, just like father, like son, Josh has kind of dropped off the face of the earth with his family. And he is following in the footsteps of his dad in all of the worst possible ways, which is not entirely his fault, given he's been basically in a state of fog from his memories being deleted from his brain for these past 9 years. Now, the Red Door is constantly in the minds of Dalton and Josh, the men who can jump into the further and experience this astral plane. However, as time goes on and changes and stress occurs in these men's lives, the door starts to crack open. And with that crack comes the pain, memories, everything comes flooding through, including the demons that tormented them. How well can our boys fare? Don't know, we have to find out. Will there be redemption for Josh? Don't know. We got to find out. But boys, like Corbin said, we do have one question to answer at the end of all of this, and that's if this movie is essential. So let's open it from there. What do we think? How are we feeling?
Alan feels really good about that.
Yeah, Alan's
I have pizzazz, you know?
I wrote a
No, that was good.
masterpiece.
That was good.
Yeah, Bobby's got his dumb little one joke he gets to write, and now I get to write my little novellas.
Hey, I don't get to write often, so I take every advantage I can.
Yeah, do you see the vein in my forehead? I'm furious. Furious. So, something I didn't realize until afterwards, the kids in this movie are the same actors. I'm like, man. I'm like, they look a lot like the kids. They really casted well. These look like the kids from the movie. And then all of a sudden, I looked at them like
they're 9 years older in universe, played by the same actors. 9
years older,
later. Yeah.
Huh.
I love that
cool.
you guys didn't know. You guys didn't know that going in.
I did not watch a single trailer for this film before I sat down and watched it.
The only trailers I watched for this movie is what came on while I was watching wrestling.
Wow,
that's it. Yeah, I try to go into these things blind.
Because like even everybody that plays a recurring character in this is played by the same actor. I mean, even the cameos are the same actors.
So this is Patrick Wilson's directorial debut.
It is his directorial debut.
How do we think he did?
I think that he did really well. I mean, I think that, he has been kind of priming himself for the director's chair for a while, and I think that I know he was looking for something to direct for a couple of years, and this kind of ended up being just the perfect pick for, a myriad of potentially obvious reasons. And I think it shows. I think that it shows that he was passionate about the material, and also that he is an actor that has an eye for it even while acting, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
I was really happy with his directing. It definitely doesn't feel like somebody's first outing, which I think is huge.
I agree. It feels very much to me like a B actor, a B director who actually has a couple movies under their belt, right? Like, let's be very clear. This movie's getting a lot of flack on the internets, and a lot of that flack is for good reason. I think I said to you guys because we all watched this together. I think I said to you guys when I think I equally parts laughed with and at this movie, enjoyed and made fun of this movie. And Corbin said, "How could you know? You were laughing the entire time." And I'm like, sometimes I was laughing with it. Like, so
I think some of that is definitely like the script, though, right? I mean, I think that and the writer was definitely someone that I don't know how much power Patrick Wilson would have had over like choosing the writer or the specific script, given that it was his first outing and this was a studio film, produced by Lee Winnell and James Wan still. So like, there might not have. It's hard to judge him for the script choice. Usually you can, but I think a lot of the issues with the movie do lie in the script, because like a lot of it comes down to like dialogue or just the way that things are
even just about. The general pacing of the movie. However,
I think
go for it, please.
What I want to see out of this is I like where this started for Patrick Wilson. I think this is about as strong of a start for a directorial debut, minus something like Jordan Peele, who comes out with Get Out as his first piece of directing. Like, it's not Get Out. Do not misunderstand my words there. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to like the pantheon of first time directors, like this is pretty great. What it makes me want is to see him make like a proper R-rated horror film, because he has an eye for the genre. He has an eye for like what works, what is scary. He has an eye for how to build a jump scare. For good and for worse, I would say, in this film, because he really like he sets up the whole watch the background thing from the onset. Josh gets into the car within like 3 minutes of this film, and you clearly see
Dad's hanging out back there.
Exactly, Ghost Dad's like, "Hey son, what's up? I want to help you, but I can't speak to you because reasons." Like, they clearly set up that as a thing, and it just reoccurs and reoccurs. I want to see him break the shackles of PG-13 and see what he can really give us there. Like, what does his eye for an R-rated horror film actually look like in practice?
Yeah,
because he can do PG-13, but what can he do with with less shackles? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because like he's been in a fair amount of horror movies, but even the R-rated horror movies that he's in, with a few exceptions, like Bone Tomahawk, are like pretty mild R-rated horror movies.
Yeah,
and listening to
everybody know, and even Bone Tomahawk, completely mild.
Very, very mild, as everybody knows.
So there is no scenes of horror.
Scalping to be seen.
What are you talking about?
But it's. I don't know that he would have done much more with an R rating, because the way that he talks about Insidious, the reason why I'm not talking about Insidious. I think the way that he talks about Insidious, it's the kind of movie that he was looking to do, and so I don't know that like if he had an R rating.
I'm not talking about Insidious.
I'm not.
No,
I don't know that he would have wanted to do an R-rated horror movie. It doesn't like what he wanted, why he chose Insidious. I think implies to me that he, for those reasons, an R-rated horror movie wouldn't have given him anything extra.
I think I agree with you. I was watching an interview with him today, because again, taking the time, doing what we said in our pre-meeting, taking the time to be a little bit more researched. He was saying that some of his favorite horror movies of all time are like Silence of the Lambs and Jaws, right? Those are movies that are, again, very much done in the shot composition. I mean, that's not entirely true. Silence of the Lamb and Jaws are both well-written movies, right?
Yeah.
But like the way that the movies are shot, they're shot beautifully, right? So I think there's an element of that I think he wants to be behind the director's chair. And I think actually it's really good. And also he does know this is probably one of the better movies in which other people in the movie have acted. However, again, a downside of Patrick Wilson being behind the camera as well as being the director is his acting suffers. This is probably the worst Patrick Wilson movie I've seen him in. And I'm somebody who came in thinking I hate Patrick Wilson. The reality is,
I remember.
I've come around, and the Conjuring movie specifically is what, not the Insidious movie specifically, is when they come around them, and then I watch the Conjuring movies and I get soured on them all over again. And I realize the reason for that is he can't act very well. I just hate the Warrens, and so like watching this, it was very interesting because he plays it well enough, I would say.
Yeah.
But obviously he's trying to make a diamond out of coal with the script. And then on top of that, like he's trying to play he's trying to do like this early on stage dementia thing because of his and it's just like it's not entirely effective.
I mean there was a quote from him about directing himself where he said, "I'm not too precious about my own acting," which was just like, well, that's fair. I get it, you know.
Yeah, but you're the reason why we like these movies, like,
right?
Yeah.
I think that he does do well enough, and I think that part of it is that the other people in the franchise who are really good aren't in this one too much. Yeah. So him turning in like a worse than average performance, I would say, is almost not noticed because he is comparing. You're comparing him against the kid who plays Dalton, Ty something. This was like his first major role, and then the actress who played Chris, who had like never been in a movie before. So it's like, when
really?
Yeah, this is
She was pretty good.
Chris is probably one of my favorite side characters in all of Insidious. She's great.
I thought legitimately I was going to hate her, but like she ends up being a traditional horror sidekick, in a way that like it's like, oh, cool. Like I also like that there's really, besides like the one kiss, there's no like sexual tension, and even that feels forced, and it's just like. It's very clear that they're just kind of like buds. That's kind of fun.
And they don't turn the kiss into like something after, which I've seen that storyline also, where like that exact thing happens, and then after that they're like, oh well, what if? Like,
will they? Won't they?
Well, in fact,
it was kind of nice just not going that route.
Yeah, they weirdly turn it into a cool thing about consent for a second, where she's like, where it's just like, I'm so sorry, I should have asked. I was just in the moment. Like, it's just like. That's kind of cool.
Well, and plus, I think the other thing that highlights Chris is she probably has the best, like, true horror sequence of, I would say, pretty much the whole film, with her being attacked by she's the conduit with which we see the red-faced demon for the first time in this film. Coming back.
No, we don't call him red-faced demon. We don't call him lipstick guy, lipstick face, whatever they're calling him. He's Darth Maul Goblin. That's all he'll ever be on this goddamn podcast.
Okay, this is fine. So
Darth Maul Goblin is in this movie.
She is the conduit with which we get Darth Maul Goblin again, which is great. He works. It works how they show him again, and how she's basically being, because it's, they're going through this whole idea of like, well, people in the real world can't be harmed by these demons. It's
Has
only
he had a
traveling
tail
through
the entire time?
Yes.
Yeah, you see it in the first movie.
Yeah, when you see him up in like the bit, he's like doing his thing, and you see the tail. Yeah.
Come on, that Bobby. One shot they show him, that they show of him in that they've shown in all of the one trailer I've watched where Darth Maul Goblin was like, it's the worst shot in the entire movie. It's absolutely terrible. Like,
well, and it's funny because like, that demon has kind of become iconic almost despite itself,
Yeah.
Like like there is a reason why his big jump scare is a meme, and it's not just because it's a great jump scare, but it's also because haha, like what a funny demon design.
Yeah.
What is this face I'm looking at?
Yeah, so like that, even the most iconic moment of the whole first movie is equal parts funny and scary because like you know what I mean? And so seeing him again, they could do him up as well as possible, but seeing him every time is just gonna be like, what is going on? Like,
Well, and he's such a non-factor. Darth Maul Goblin in
Yeah.
all of these movies is such a non-factor. Like, and in this one, he's the most factored, I suppose. But like, it's incredibly like
he's
it's
more
so,
factored in the first movie, I think.
I don't think so.
Present throughout, I think.
You don't think
so?
I think they show like the drawings, but like they keep red herring you to think it's like the ghost with the trench coat and the long hair. That I feel like he like this the sub boss is more present than the boss in Insidious one. This it's all Darth Maul Goblin, and like I get it, right? Ghosts, ghouls, and demons, cool, right? But like. And you know, but like when you bring a goblin into it, you know, it doesn't work quite as well. And I think
I really think we need some other demons in this franchise because like 5 movies in, we have this very like almost grounded reality of the Further with very understanding ghosts and like their like what they're after, what they're trying to do, who they are, who they were. Like everything makes a lot of sense. They really have this really nice like lore built up.
Yeah.
And there's only one demon so far, and it's this lipstick demon, right?
That we know nothing about.
You don't know anything about him. You've seen him 3 times now, and it's like, what's the deal with this guy? You know, and like, are there other demons? What do they do? What does he do? Like at the end of this movie, the door is closed. It's just to him. So like, are there more with other doors? Like, what's the shtick? 5 movies in, we should probably have some understanding of that.
I do know that they originally was a plan to have a Sinister crossover, so a Bagul, maybe a Bagul.
That makes total sense to me. Yeah,
but maybe Mr. Boogie, Mr. Boogie, like it would be really cool to do that kind of thing. It would make sense. They like they work in similar ways. Like however, right?
Man, I love that movie.
I thought the second one was bad. I watched it again somewhat recently. That movie's a grower. Sinister 2's a grower.
It's just not as good as the first one, and so I think after you've gotten past that, you're able to see what the actual movie is.
Yeah, I know, I agree entirely. But we're not here to talk about
Sinister.
A really good duology. We're here to talk about a pretty okay
quintology.
There's the word. Yeah, and the quint of that quintology.
So, Bobby, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is this the loudest you've ever laughed in a movie theater at this movie?
No.
No. Okay.
But
pretty close.
I will say it was pretty close. It was when puke ghost vomited everywhere. That's when I really lost it.
Oh yeah.
It was hilarious.
They did that effect practical, which is just so much funnier.
Dude, okay, like that was a pure giggle of and I could tell I pissed off people next to me because I was like, because I was like crying, laughing, but I was this is so. It was fun. It was a fun little like because like they already did the bit, right? Like and it's like okay. We know, like we've already the setup's there, right? And the scary moments already happened, right? Dalton's getting vomited on, right? There's just no way he's not getting just puked all over his stupid face,
right?
And like the longer we wait, the more it's just like he's gonna get thrown up on, and then you see him like crawling up, and it's just like it's gonna happen, and then he just goes, and it's just like, and that is. I wish that would have been a more than like in 2 scenes, because like the kid like caked on, puke all over him, like dying in his own puke. That was a scary ghost. Like that that one made me. That was like actually like the first when you first see him and he's like, close the door, please close the door. Like I don't want you to see me like this. That's like some Sixth Sense level like uncomfortability, and then for it to just be this over the top just fucking fire hydrant of puke is awesome and funny. Like,
Yeah,
This kid
And-
got
well, and-
waterboarded for our
and
amusement,
it's-
basically.
right. It's
chunky
definitely
waterboard.
Oh yeah.
intentionally funny in a way that like I wouldn't have thought about it as being intentionally funny, and I didn't at the time because it seems like one of those bits that's like supposed to be like more like gross out scary.
Yeah.
And after thinking about it, and then after spending some time, right, seeing what Patrick Wilson
After
had to
getting
say
over
about this
your
movie,
intense frustration of my cackling
well, I mean,
laughter.
yeah, that was part of it. But there was I forget who he was talking to, but Patrick Wilson had made a comment that the part of what he likes about PG-13 horror is and especially Insidious is that Insidious is funny and quirky, which is something that is like totally true, but I didn't know how much of that was intentional. And so like he really wanted to like keep that going, and like thinking about that comment and then that scene, it's like that was supposed to just be funny. Like that was definitely you were meant to laugh at that thing at that scene. Actually,
I think it's a dealer's choice, right? I
Yeah.
think because there's a lot of stuff that's like funny and quirky on its face, like Chris.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments early on where she's trying to be funny and it's cringe, and you're like, oh no, is she gonna be that character? And she doesn't end up being
Right.
that character, but she starts out that way. But
Yeah.
then also simultaneously, I think there's like I do think that was funny intentionally. I thought in the moment it was funny intentionally. I didn't think I was being rude or crass by having a laugh at it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm like overly serious about horror movies, so it takes me a little bit sometimes to get there.
Why?
Well,
in what world? In what world would you actually want?
In every world.
The other thing too that I don't think we're
What are you
setting
doing?
the stage too well for our audience here is this theater was packed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this was
it
not
was.
a small
Shockingly so.
showing. Like we were packed in there, and just I want you guys to imagine there's this scene and no one else is laughing but Bobby. Loud. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You laugh for an entire movie theater's worth of people.
I don't care. Sometimes things are just for you, and that's okay.
I don't disagree with you.
I think I'm the only person who laughed the entire movie, and I laughed a lot.
That is true.
I rolled my eyes a few times. I was actually talking with Corbin about that. I don't know what it was, if it's just I didn't pick up on the dialogue being so like
Cringe.
oh my god, eye rolly cringy.
Cringe is the word.
At one point Dalton and Foster are on the phone and
What's up?
Dalton just goes, "Little bro,"
That was very
unironically,
funny.
just very like oh my god. And like you would think the cringy lines would come from Chris, like we were kind of talking about earlier, but no. I mean, she has like her little bit at the beginning, but then she's like, "Oh no, Chris is great." She kind of finds
she
a way
has
and
the
sticks to it.
most like she has the most ad-libbing also, which I think is what helps her dialogue along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foster being a non-entity is also fucking hilarious. The guy,
He-
like,
He's been on the whole franchise.
I said
I was
still
gonna
being a
say,
non-entity.
he's like that in every movie except for the first movie. He has like one iconic scene in the bedroom.
Yeah,
but
faster. Yeah,
but every other time is
complete
just like
non-entity.
there. And like there's the sister, which is it would be fine to forget that there is a third sibling of this group.
because in the second and third movies, and the second or fifth movies, she barely exists. No,
I love in the fifth one when she's at a sleepover, so she doesn't have to be in the final sequence.
Yeah.
But my favorite bit is in the first time Dalton is calling Foster. Foster's got like a full like living room like studio thing set up.
Yes.
They don't touch on it at all, even a little bit.
They touch on it briefly at the end, near the end. He's like, "You got your like sound set up or something?" Like these are two separate scenes because you see the call and then they mention it like one time and then just keep going. They fly right by it.
It's like they had this idea of something they wanted to do and then just like it got completely cut out, or they didn't.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think this movie had a lot of edits.
I don't think so either. I think this movie is actually pretty lean. I think when this comes out, you will not get deleted scenes.
No. I also love the fucking dumbest thing, right? They went, oh man, you know that red door. What if we painted it black? Like, just like fucking fucking Zeppelin? Seriously?
Is,
You're gonna do a... No, wait. That's Rolling Stones.
so Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm sorry.
Come on now.
I'm sorry.
I was
You know what?
okay with
Patrick
painting
Wilson,
painting the
a
door
Rolling
black, though. I was
Stones
fine with
fan.
that. Probably, dude.
Yeah.
Dude's like
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, of course he is.
But yeah, I fixed myself. So no one can yell at me.
Yeah.
I corrected my own mistake before anybody else
Sure.
did.
Of course. I was fine with it. It was obvious, but I was fine with it.
Well, I think that's what about this movie is this movie is like, again, it's a potato chip. It's empty calories.
Mhm.
You're enjoying it, but like ultimately,
Yeah, I mean, like that's let's be real here, right? We've watched and reviewed all 5 of them. Like that is the franchise. Like the franchise is pretty fun. It's pretty enjoyable, but it's not like a gangbusters franchise. Like it's never going to be the sour cream and onion. I mean, it's just regular, and like that's
never
totally
it's
fine.
never gonna be a sweet. It's never gonna be a sweet and spicy chili Dorito. You're right. You're absolutely right by that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'll notice that wasn't my example, but
I gave my example because it was better than sour cream and onion. Boo.
No, dude, that's no. Well, we don't. No.
Yeah,
you know what?
You're right. As somebody who likes Friday the 13th, I would imagine you would say sour cream and onion is your.
If those are conjoined, I'm okay with that.
if that's the cross I must carry, I'm fine.
I'm there. I'll bear it. Oh boy.
The only other thing about this film that I wanted to bring up is the success of this film.
Oh sure,
$64 million grossed with about a 50-50 split between domestic and international box offices. Like,
and that's big.
These movies just continue to print money. It's crazy. $16 million.
Well, yeah,
budget.
of course they do because they're stupid as hell. But
sure,
but 13-year-olds can but their 13-year-olds can watch them, and like my good buddy Jack, he texted me and he was like, and we talked afterwards, and he was talking about how stupid it is. It's like, oh, we're going with a hypnosis. That's the angle we want to go with this stupid movie. And I was like, yeah, it's stupid, but it's fucking hilarious and awesome. Like, and like just
and
boring,
it's so
and, like,
insidious. So like,
like, and you're never like getting anything that you don't expect, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to it's an American tradition. It's TGI Fridays. It's boring. It's banal, right? Spoiler alert: the ghost that's haunting Josh the entire time is the dad that you forgot that he didn't have. Like,
I definitely forgot when he brought up his dad like twice and was like, "Oh, I don't want to be my dad. I'm afraid of my dad." I was thinking the first time he brought it up, I was like, "Where'd this dad subplot come from?"
I don't remember a dad.
Yeah.
I forgot entirely.
The second time he brought it up, I was like, that ghost that's been like hanging out in the background every now and again is going to be his dad, isn't it? And then they try to get you with the like, who is this Ben Burton guy? It's like, shut the fuck up. It's his dad.
The first time they showed the Ben Burton thing, my first thought was like, is that Josh's last name? Is that the dad?
That's what I thought. Exactly.
I couldn't even remember. Yeah, I was like, yeah, wait a minute.
Is that the name of the Insidious family? Yeah, like
yeah, like they got me because like I was like, maybe was there a retcon somewhere? Am I just forgetting? I don't know.
Well, and that shows about this movie is like you watch these movies despite literally forgetting about a lot of it, because we've watched these movies somewhat recently.
Yeah,
right. So like, I think that's the power of these movies is they're stupid, but god damn it, they're fun. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's just a consistent thing. You know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. But hey, speaking of consistency, how would you guys rate this movie on a 0 to 5 scale with half points allowed, where 0, of course, is the absolute bottom, and a 5 out of 5 is the absolute top? Now, we have rated all 4 of the other Insidious movies along the way. Our average score of Insidious as a franchise is 2.5.
That feels right.
No, that doesn't feel right. That feels objectively correct.
So, Alan, you've kind of
Yes.
said the least so far in the discussion. I'd love it if you would go first. How would you rate Insidious: The Red Door on a scale of 0 to 5?
So with Insidious: The Red Door, when we walked out of the film, I was just sitting there kind of like arm crossed, like, what do I think of that for a bit there, because I wasn't as sold on it immediately leaving the theater. And as I've kind of sat on it and thought through, like, what did I actually experience? What was this film to me? Every time I think back on it, I have smiles, and I go, "Oh yeah, that was fun," or "Oh yeah, that was funny," or like, "Oh, I had a good time watching this film." Is the dialogue cringy? Absolutely. Is it a jump scare fest? At times, yes. Now, in part, that's because I jump at everything. We were watching trailers, and I was jumping in the trailers before the Insidious: The Red Door came on. So, like, I'm a mark for that kind of thing. It is what it is. But I would say they're pretty effective. Like, the one that comes to mind is, we didn't necessarily talk about it as much in the bit here before, but like one of the whole reasons that this whole shebang gets started is Dalton is in his art class, and the art teacher basically is like, "You're going to go deep and dig into yourself, and I'm going to count down from 10." And it kind of like unlocks these repressed memories of his. And as he's like drawing these memories, he like gets attacked. And it fucking worked for me. Because like, I knew something was going to happen. Oh, it worked so well. I knew something was going to come. It got me.
We didn't talk about it. It's actually really interesting. I thought about that one a lot too. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's because it's not paced like a normal jump scare. Like, so it hits you in like a really weird, like, it was like the same reason why that trailer got me, because I was just like, oh, like.
Yeah, because he's like really intensely drawing and everything, and you think it's gonna like pan back to like see the whole painting and what has he created, and then there's the jump scare. But he's like not done yet, about to finish, and then a hand grabs him, and it's like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, so this movie has those aspects that kind of play well to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep thinking about how I had a good time. Like, at the end of the day, I just had a good time with this film. So for me, I'm actually going to put this one at a 3.5 out of 5, placing it right in line with The Last Key and Chapter 2 for me. This is right at the top of the franchise for me personally. What, Bobby?
Okay. I respect it. I respect it. I'm just gonna go real quick because I have some similar thoughts. I really quite liked this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it. I would say I enjoyed it as much as I expected to, right? Because I liked the other four well enough. I mean, Chapter 3 wasn't so good, but the other three of the other four were good.
Chapter 3 was pretty bad, but let's be honest, The Last Key, oh.
Anyway,
Can't agree with that.
I like the way that this one really focused in again on the family drama of it all. Like, I think that is when Insidious is at its strongest, right? When the ghosts and stuff are a little bit secondary. And I guess the only thing that I like more about Insidious is when they go full superhero, which I did quite like about The Last. So for me, I mean, this one is as good as the other two entries of this trilogy, really, of this family. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5, matching my scores for Insidious and Insidious 2. I think they're all kind of at the same level for me. I like them all about the same. And I think that the consistency of the trilogy is pretty good, especially considering it's over the course of 15 years with different teams.
I said something to you guys when we were exiting the theater. I said, this is probably the third best Insidious movie. So I'm going to stand by that. And I gave Insidious 1 a 3. I gave Insidious 2 a 2.5. So I'm going to give Insidious: The Red Door a 2 out of 5. Personally, really liked it. But this movie is chock full of flaws, right? Everything except for shot composition in this movie can be kind of shit at times. So, this movie is shot incredibly well. And I think it does a lot of, it scratches enough of that, art house itch for me that I like in movies, and then it's stupid enough that I'm just like giddy the entire time. But ultimately, those two things make for a fairly poor movie, a slightly below average movie. So yeah,
That's fair, I think.
I loved it though. I really did enjoy myself.
Yeah, I mean, hard not to, right?
Yeah.
So all of that said, right? I mean, this is the 5th entry in a franchise. It is the debut of a. I mean, anything getting to 5 is immediately a little bit funny.
It's hilarious, dude. Like, it's very funny to me that James Wan was just like, "Hey, don't worry. Remember the '80s where we had like a bunch of different movie franchises with like slashers? What if I just did all of them?" Like,
Yeah, I mean, every major franchise of the last like 15 years, 20 years almost, has been his, with the exception of Paranormal Activity. So good on him.
Yeah.
All of that said, do we think that this movie is essential to horror as a whole? So this section is traditionally spoiler free. So if you skipped ahead to here, our scores so far were a 3.5 from Alan, a 3 from myself, and a 2 from Bobby, and that's all out of 5. Now, our other Insidious movies, were any of them essential? You may be wondering. And yes, we did give Insidious, the first one, full essentiality marks. And then Alan and I also bravely gave Insidious the last key essentiality marks for reasons unknown even to us.
Cowards. It could have been Blood Diner. We could have done that. We could have done that together.
It's never going away.
Bobby, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that Insidious the Red Door is essential to horror as a whole?
Is it essential to horror as a whole?
Yeah.
No. That's it. I mean, no. Like, what do you want me to say? That this movie is
say
like
whatever's in your heart.
This movie does nothing. It does nothing. Unless Patrick Wilson becomes a prolific horror director, but even then, I don't even think this movie counts, right? Because like he would need something that like at least it was like something he wasn't. Like his own first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is him with Leigh Whannell. Is it Jason Blum? Is that his name?
Jason Blum, Leigh Whannell,
and Leigh Whannell,
and of course James Wan,
and then James Wan holding his hand through a lot of this, probably, right? Maybe not the directorial stuff, but helping him with all the other stuff. It doesn't fucking matter. Ultimately, this movie will be, you'll watch it when you're watching marathons of the Insidious movie, which, let's be honest, everybody except for me does not remember as well as the Conjuring movies. So like, what's the point? I liked it. I think it's worth a watch personally. However, me liking things since I've decided to take this essential shit seriously does not make for an essential movie. So no, it is not essential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that was a lot of the crux of my point was gonna be, honestly, is like basically I'll get it out of the way immediately. No, I don't think it is, but I would like it to be. So like it's like no, but I want it to be, and that the wanting it to be is basically like I would love for Patrick Wilson to really go down this path and become one of those guys that we really remember as like a great horror director of this next era. And if that were to happen, would this then be a yes? Maybe. But the points that Bobby makes about his close confidants and peers helping him through this movie are true, right? I mean, and he admits it, and it's even part of why he took this movie to be his first movie, is because Blumhouse really protects its directors and its crew, because they put like the franchise and the name, and they put Blumhouse first. So like when things go wrong, they take the flack. And so like, and he kind of knew that, you could safely make this movie first. And so yeah, like I'd love to see him do something that he wrote or co-wrote or hand chose, maybe a new franchise, something with his name really on it, I think that would be an awesome yes to give. And if we were to get that, would this then become a yes? Maybe later. Depends on how much of this carries forward. Like what are his true hallmarks as a director, and what do we see move forward? But that is a gigantic maybe. It's a gigantic maybe, and without that, this movie is an easy no.
This was a very easy no for me. I enjoyed this film. I had a grand time. The more I think about it, the more I go, yeah, that was a really good time. I loved what I saw there. I like the kind of quirky character of Chris. The jump scares work. But there's nothing in this film, I think, even within its own franchise for that matter, that really is stand out in the way that needs to be essential to horror. The best jump scare in the franchise happened in the first film. The funniest moment in the franchise happens in Chapter 2 when Patrick Wilson beans his wife in the back of the head with a coffee pot, okay? It's the funniest fucking thing in this entire franchise. It's not as scary
when that girl gets hit with the car.
Yes.
No,
100%.
it's not. No, I think they're getting hit with the gun.
I don't
we knew
agree
it was
at all.
We knew it was coming the second time, and we still laughed at it.
Right.
Okay. The car hit was really good. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you you're wrong.
Chapter 3 is the funniest thing that happened in this franchise. Just the movie as a whole.
All right. That might actually be true. But it doesn't have any. Its only real highlight is this is Patrick Wilson's directorial debut. And while that's interesting, while that's cool, while there's potential there, it's not here now. So until that potential realizes into anything, it to me just doesn't matter yet. It might in the future. We'll have to find out though. So
Speaking of, I'm drowning. Why are you being so selfish? Your handles. That was a quote from Insidious Chapter 3.
Yeah,
where's your quotes?
That's from the movie.
That was another line we thought was very funny at the time.
That is a great. Well, what makes it funny is the way it's delivered. It's delivered so straight.
Oh my god! Yes,
yeah.
That's the dad that says it, right?
Yes, the dad says it to his teenage daughter.
Jesus Christ! Oh my god! What did I give Chapter 3? I'm gonna represent. I gave it a 1. That's correct. I feel good about that.
And he's reading. He delivers the line like it's a table read. He's like, "I'm drowning. Why are you being so selfish?"
And they're just like, yeah, cut, print, we got that one. That's as good as it gets.
Let us all, in the spoiler-free portion of the say, it's better than that.
It is better.
The Red Door is a lot better than that.
We all, I think, would say, go watch it. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It's worth the watch. I think, that's really the end of it.
It's better than you're a terrible fucking... Their F-bomb's better. Their F-bomb is better. They get one.
That's true.
Did they even use the F-bomb?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
When?
We can't say. Spoiler free, baby.
You got to go see the movie.
All right.
But anyway, what are your handles and where can we find you? Alan.
Well, you see, there's this new platform called Threads that you can find, I think, all 3 of us on now at this point, because Twitter is a hellscape that no one wants to actually be on because there's just constant nonsense that get pushed through to your feed. I dipped out of Twitter at the perfect time. It was 2-3 months ago, and I'm like, I don't need this app on my phone anymore. And the precipitous fall has been so strong. But if you're on Threads, you can find me at a seal punter. I'm also on Instagram. I occasionally post photos and shit. What have I been doing? Well, I'll tell you. Painting, building, playing some Diablo. Might do some of that after this podcast even. Season 1 starts up here in a month, less than a month. I'm not remotely prepared enough to
2
do
weeks.
that.
It's 2
I'm
weeks.
not remotely going to get that done in time.
You don't need to.
And yeah. All right, what's the benefit of having the campaign beat by the time season 1 launches?
You can skip the campaign when you start your seasonal character.
Oh well, that is pretty nice.
But if you don't finish it, you have to do the campaign.
And you get to start out with your horse.
I haven't.
Yeah, and you start with the horse.
That actually is pretty cool. I still don't have a horse. I'm 15 hours into this game. I don't have a damn horse yet.
You get it about 40 hours in.
I was gonna say it's you're not even halfway to the horse.
Why?
You get it, and then you play an additional 40 hours worth of content. Yeah, I've also been playing Diablo, and I'm like 80 hours deep, and I think I'm light in it. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue your point, Alan.
I didn't have anything else. That was basically it.
Okay. Well,
Let's see.
I guess you can find me also on the Zuck apps at Bobby Dunlap 16. But you can also find me. Yeah, that's.
Were you 16?
No, my birthday is March 16th.
I love the sincerity of the self docs that has just occurred.
Oh no,
no, it's just funny. It's, it doesn't matter. It's just funny.
Yeah. But you or you can find me at twitch.tv/theredweenie. That's where all my relevant socials are there. But yeah. All of those there. I've been playing Diablo. That is the only real game thing I've been doing. I golfed this past weekend
Instead of playing Warhammer.
Yeah, well, sorry, I love my friends, but unfortunately, my family will always come first. I know some of you listen. That one's for you. But yeah, I stream sometimes. I said I was going to do Sundays and Tuesdays. I still plan on doing that. So maybe you'll see me there. It's a running gag on this show that I said I want to stream, but then it becomes a task to do instead of a task to enjoy. And I stop myself all the time. Maybe I'll just stop and I'll just start streaming more consistently again. So
could be cool.
Follow me on all my relevant social media platforms.
Yeah. You can find me at Bolters_Bourbon on Threads and Instagram. And honestly, that is the only socials that really matter because I've never used my other account. And Twitter is dying. And the only reason I was on Twitter is because there wasn't anything better. And now Threads is just better enough, which is really all that matters.
You both laughed at me immediately.
Still, to be fair, it's still funny.
It's bad.
It's just better, So we're there. We're on Threads. They've got like well over 100 million people on there. It's probably going to be part of our lives for a number of years at this point. So follow us on Threads. That is where I will post about Warhammer and other hobby content. That's the main thing that I use social media for. So if you're interested in that, give me a follow. What have I been up to? Basically everything that Alan has said, Warhammer stuff and Diablo stuff. I'm further in than Alan, but not as far as Bobby. The game is absolutely massive. No, I don't have my horse.
I beat it. So
yeah, see, so obviously I'm not as far as you. No. The game is massive. I'm really taking my time with it because Diablo is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and like it's not even close. So I'm not rushing. I'm just playing it, and I'm really enjoying it. I love it, but it's a long boy.
It is a very long boy.
Yeah, not in a negative way. It's just a big game.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I saw people complaining about it being too much of a sandbox, and I wanted to choke the life out of them.
I also don't feel like it
what
is
does that even
because
mean?
Like everything. I think people feel like it's not as much of like the linear act structure as previous games because if you go linearly and you just do all the main quests, the acts aren't super long, right? And you can always go. You can even start. You can even start the future acts whenever you want, right?
Early, yeah.
But what I like about this one is that every act feels way long because you can do like side quests and other content in the act, and then everything is within the same like region, and it makes the act feel like it's like this area, and then you go and do like the next act, and it's cool.
They were complaining about the quote Ubisoftification of gaming because, and I thought that was very stupid.
Well, you do have to clear out 3 villages and claim them, so
fair enough. Don't give them more points.
I haven't done that at all yet. I've literally walked up on those villages and been like, I don't want to do this.
They're
and I just
called
keep
fortresses, buddy. Okay,
and they're villages.
You
they're outposts.
They're very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me at Bolters_Bourbon Twitter or not Twitter. Twitter. I am on Twitter still. So Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, whatever. You can find the podcast at Essential Scares. And you can currently find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be on Threads shortly. I
don't know how to make the Threads app.
It is not as easy as it should be for like content creators. We're going to level with you. There's no desktop app, so I can't do it on the web, which is how I usually do the stuff for the podcast. And there's no like
Threads app on desktop.
There's no desktop app or website. There's no Threads.com is like
That's
a
hilarious.
Slack competitor, so like there's no alternative.
That's funny.
And then if you're on Threads on the app, there's no like quick change account. You have to like fully log out and fully log back in. So it's really a bear. We will get there, but we're Threads is like beta basically. So as soon as that's a little more open to us, we'll be there. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook or Instagram. That's probably the best place to get that information. Thank you to everybody for listening to the show this week and the previous 100 weeks. It's really been awesome, and we're happy to be in this next era of Essential Scares. This week was our first new movie in a long time. For our next episode, we're going to be kicking it way back to 1991 to cover Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. And that episode will be in 2 weeks. We're moving to a bi-weekly schedule to allow all of us and all of you more time to sit with the movie and really do a deeper dive into why it may or may not be essential. So look forward to a slightly adjusted format with the next episode. But in the meantime, give us a subscribe, a follow, a review, share it with your friends and family, and thank you again. Alan and Bobby, thank you for being on the show with me this week and the other 101 or 102 weeks, actually. I have been your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scares.
Put that right down, baby.